Hi guys, I just want to do a quick video on a bit of data prep and how to set up your models properly, because I think it can help a lot in the long term if you get into the uh, into the workflow of using helpers and things like this. It makes it a lot easier when you want to move the car around, when you want to animate wheels and things like this. So the model I have here is this great model from Jacob. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce his second name, but you can get it for free on ArtStation. It's a really nice model, really nice detail, and he's got some nice renderings to go with it. So I will use this model as the example, and yeah, I can show you how I do it. Not everyone does it the same way. As usual, everyone has different workflows, but after working a few years, this is the one that seems, to work for me and a few other people. So, yeah, basically, when you import this file, the Lamborghini, if you are using 3ds Max like I am, then this is what you will see in your scene viewer or your layer manager. So there's no layers, there's no helpers, and as you can see, it is labeled quite well, so you can see that everything here. This is the brakes. It's fairly obvious what things are. I'm not sure, because here I'm using the Alembic file. I'm not sure if there will be layers in one of the other files, but this is the file I downloaded because Alembic is much easier to use, and I can show you why a bit later on. So yeah, so if, like, for example, now if you wanted to move this car around, if you wanted to turn the wheels, you are not going to be do that straight from loading this file, because everything is, as you can see, it's not linked to anything. It's not parented to any dummy, so you would have to set that up yourself, and I can show you quickly how to do that. So in this file, what I did here, basically I went through everything and renamed everything. You see here it's EXT for exterior. Everything with that label is now in the exterior, and yeah, it's relatively easy to select. If you want to make a thing here, you have all of the exterior stuff. I left the interior how it was because it's not that much. I think there's only maybe a few objects separated here, so the interior is not so detailed, unfortunately, but it does the job well enough. So as long as you're not seeing inside, then we're trying to do any interior shots, and it should be okay. I'm not exactly sure why the car was blue. At some point I think I did something, but another thing I would recommend, for example, is creating giving object colors. So for example, this is a car paint. We can say, okay, we make the car paint red, and then when you have quite a few objects with the same color that you want to quickly select, you can go to tools, and then, or is it tools, or it's edit select? Yeah, edit select by color, and then you can just click on the color and it'll select every object with that color. So in this one, basically, yeah, I separated everything, renamed everything. So here it's like, now you have the rear wheel. It's easily isolated from everything else, and generally everything is really easy to pick up. So I've joined all the car paint parts or together. I think actually this is not actually a car paint, this should be something else. So that's one thing I did not realize until later on when I was shading this car. So we can actually do one real quickly, just so you can see how it works. Let's take this front wheel. So we want the right, there we go. So what I usually do is just either make a dummy or a helper, or a point. I prefer points because you can give them a nice big size. That's probably about too big, a bit too big, so maybe a meter. And then usually I align it to the center of the wheel, and then basically select everything, deselect the helper. Let's get this, deselect the helper, and then join everything to this, and then there you have the rotation, and you can also turn it this way, and generally everything there is going to be turning around, or you can, I'm not sure what's going on here. Everything can be rotated. This is the wheel, so when you're actually driving the car, this is everything that spins. So yeah, that's now your rotation wheel helper. One thing I do see a lot of people, and I think this is you know, a thing that really helps add, even though it's a very small detail, helps add to a little bit of realism, is camber. And what camber is every wheel on the car is never perfectly straight like this. It always has a sort of what's called camber. So usually I'd sell between minus or one degree, or it depends. If you want to like really slam the car, then you can go a bit more, but every wheel is never perfectly flat on the ground. It always has a bit of camber. And if you look on Google, you can find some good videos. There's a nice Wikipedia article that is telling you about the camber angle, and it tells you why and what it does. Then you also have the caster angle, which is not the castle angle, caster angle. And okay, I don't want this eBay link. Sorry, yeah. So here's another. I didn't even spell it correctly. Here's another article on caster angle. So basically, when the wheel is turning left or right, it will also, maybe a big example, it will also turn like this. Also, so if you want to turn the wheel the right way, then you also have to push it like this way. This is a bit of an extreme example, as it will never be like this, but I think you can see Mercedes-Benz is one I always think of, because the caster angle on a Mercedes-Benz wheel is quite big. If I try and find a good picture, caster angle, yep, bear with me. So yeah, you can see in this picture here the caster angle, so you can see how the wheel is turning at this strange looking angle. So yeah, this is a caster angle, and it also helps to add this into your file. And it's finished auto saving, so yeah, I will actually turn that off, because I absolutely hate autosave. Although it has saved me some time in the past and saved my ass, it really annoys me, as it takes ages to save. And another quick tip, actually, whilst I'm in this menu, set your scene level undo to something like 200, because it helps, trust me. Nobody likes getting to the end of their undo queue when it's of like 20 or 10. It's really a pain in the ass. So once that's set up, then I will do that to the rest of the car, and then you get something like this. So this is what I've done. So I have one main helper for the whole car. So if I want to move the car, I can always just turn it with this helper. I don't have to select any objects whatsoever. It just take this helper and turn it. And I separated the exterior from the interior, so I can know which parts and easily select them. I create another helper which is inside there, which is just for the body, and one for the wheels. So they're all separate, and it makes it a lot easier when navigating around. And it's trying to auto back up in here, so let's turn this off again. There's it. Files, auto backup off. So for this car, because everything is pretty much separated by materials rather than what part of the car is, for example, when you're working with CAD data, the actual door will be all one object. So everything that is attached to the door should generally be one object. For example, the front splitter here would be one object, but at the moment it's separated because of the way Jacob set up this file. As mainly everything is separated by materials. So what I did, I created a helper for every material, and then it's relatively easy to select. It's easy to find, and when you use this, it helps a lot basically. So as for the wheels, the way I did this, for example, is I have the wheels as one group or attached to one helper, and then as a child I have each wheel left rear, right front, right rear, and then inside of there I have the brakes. So this is the brake caliper, and easily done there. Usually I wouldn't call it this, brakes front left, because it's different, all different pieces, but in this case it helps. And then here I have a rotation helper, which is basically just for animation. So everything, like I said before, inside this part is used to animate the wheel. If I wanted to animate it, I think here I missed a piece, so that should actually not be there, but I think you get the point. And then I have one more just for the rim, and it's just this part, and then the tire is also separate. And on this I did not create a helper for the camber, but you can easily add one in there, or you can just use the main base, wheel here. So it helps, and this could just be like -1 or +1, whichever direction it goes. And yeah, and you can have your car set up, and you can animate the wheels relatively easy. You can animate the car itself. If you want the car to be driving along, it's fairly easy. If you want to make a quick and dirty rig, it's nice and easy. And yeah, that's it. The reason why I actually set up the car like this is because I'm going to bring in, or I wanted to bring it into Houdini and shade it in Redshift. There's a really good video from a guy called Tim Van Helstingen. He's a really good Houdini artist, and he made a really nice short animation with a Jeep. And I was always interested in how he actually shaded it in Houdini, given the node structure, and how making materials and applying them to objects is way different to traditional programs like 3ds Max or Maya or what have you. So I got some help from him and set it up quite nicely in Houdini, and it was a lot easier to group everything by material type rather than the object. So the next step for that would be to see how it works with CAD data, because there's way more objects in the data than there is in this model, which made it a lot easier to go through in Houdini and make the groups and apply the materials to the groups. But that will be a video for another day, another time. Hopefully I can produce a bit more now. I've got at least another month in quarantine. All the Kitas are closed here in Germany, so I'm at home almost every day now for at least another month. So yeah.